Mumbai.
Welcome to Mumbai and Marine Drive, and as always, people are out, the joggers, the power walkers, the families out taking their evening stroll. It's an incredible backdrop, and you can see everywhere you look the pace of change in this city. The skyline with new apartment blocks and hotels being thrown up, the types of cars on the streets, Western fast food chains. But how fast are social attitudes changing, especially towards women? Their role in society, their life choices, and of course, sexual violence. Now, since we've been here, one story making the news and headlines, the case of a 20-year-old girl molested at a train station in Mumbai, fighting off her attacker, grabbing him by the hair and dragging him to the local police station. She has been talking to the BBC team here.
My name is Pradnya Mandre. I'm a college student and I travel by train every day. I was going home from college and I got down on the platform when that man came and touched me. I got very angry and I hit him hard, and then I dragged him to the railway police station. If the police weren't there, I would have hit him even harder. How dare anyone touch me like this? Nobody helped me. They were only staring at me. I think the other woman felt that they would get into trouble with the police if they helped me. That's why they didn't do anything. Every woman has the power to retaliate, but only some do it. This is very normal for Mumbai. Because so many women don't speak out, the number of incidents are only increasing. This has nothing to do with what you wear, it's a mindset. Even if we wear saris and burqas, it will still happen. Generally, boys are told that they can do anything. Just because you are male, it doesn't mean you can do what you want. And because of this attitude, these kinds of things keep on happening. If my story reaches other women, I don't expect them to go as far as I did, but I expect them to retaliate somehow.
Interesting listening to that brave 20-year-old about why she decided to speak so publicly. And campaigners will tell you that more and more victims are now reporting attacks. I spoke to the campaigner and Bollywood actress Shabana Azmi, and we spoke about the progress, the challenges, the contradictions in Indian society. Welcome to Global. It is still trapped in the courts, India's daughter. Do you think it should be shown here?
Yes, absolutely. I have no doubts about it. The ban is stupid. It shouldn't have happened. And what is very heartening is that the huge section of society that has stood up against the ban.
And in that documentary, you heard a defence lawyer talk in an extraordinary way about his view of women in society. How depressing was that from an educated man?
I'm not surprised by it.
Not surprised?
I'm not surprised by it. Because
even an educated man?
An educated man, because I think that the term educated is used very loosely, and we don't know whom we call educated and what are the values that education provides. A lot of education merely reinforces gender divides. But I think it's very important that he said the things that he said, because I think it created such a sense of outrage, because you hear these things and yet you hear somebody on camera say this so completely without any confusion about what his values are. And I think what it does is it echoes, that sentiment echoes in a lot of sections of society. And they think that it's perfectly all right for them to hear it. But when they hear these lawyers speak, hopefully that will lead to some kind of reflection, because they don't want to be identified as people who think like that.
I know there is no one experience, but give me an idea of what it is like to be a woman in India living in 2015.
India is a country that lives in several centuries simultaneously. So we have people living back to back in the 19th, 20th and 21st century. And our people at any given time and place encapsulate all the contradictions that come from being multi-religious, multilingual, multi-ethnic, multicultural society. And so it is with the position of women. So on the one hand, you have woman prime minister, you have a woman president. At the moment, there are very many powerful women in parliament. They are in corporate positions, but it's also true that female feticide is still being practiced in India, not only, as you would imagine, in the rural areas, but in metropolitan cities like Mumbai and Delhi and Haryana and Punjab and Gujarat and all of that.
Let's turn to your other great passion, acting. Give me an idea of how much change there is within the film world, the roles that actresses get, the types of films that are being made.
A lot is changing, and changing for the better. If you look at female-oriented films in the 60s and 70s, I will remain silent, main chup rahungi, being considered a virtue for a woman. And of course, that's changed over the years. In so much as even in mainstream cinema now, you see, thank goodness, working women. 5 years ago, they were completely invisible. You would have believed that everybody in India wears yellow chiffon saris and dances in the Alps, which is not the reality of India. The fact is that in India, women work.
And when you take a step back, I mean, in every speech, Narendra Modi talks about a modern India. Is the true test of a modern India addressing all of those things that we've actually been talking about?
I don't want to narrow it down to just Modi, but one of the concerns that I've expressed right in the beginning when Modi got that resounding victory is that his most important challenge will be to rein in the lunatic fringe because they were allowed free play in the run-up to the elections. Now, once they've had that, how do you put them back? That is the challenge. And so I think it's very important that Modi walks the talk. The modern India that he's talking about will not have place for the lunatic fringe to say, this can't be done, that can't be done, this is against India's culture. Who is defining India's culture? And shouldn't we be looking back at India's culture through the way it was, which was basically a very liberal society? If you look at our temples, if you look at reflections in our cultural heritage, it was a very, very healthy society. We need to go back to those roots.
Shabana Azmi with the challenge for the Indian government. Sometimes it's easier to see the progress being made from generation to generation. I met up with 3 generations of women from just one family. Tunvi, tell me a little about what this festival is all about.
This festival is the Maharashtrian New Year. So this happens in the month of Chaitra and it is known as Gudi Padwa. Wish you a very happy Gudi Padwa.
And to you as well. Tell me a little more about yourself. You're 20, you're about to graduate. Do you know what you want to do?
Yeah, sure, I know. I recently cracked my IIT exam. So, yeah, it is considered as one of the most important exams in India. So, yeah, I actually wanted to become an astronaut.
An astronaut?
Yeah, but then due to some hurdles, I wasn't able to make it. But now I'm like pretty sure that I want to go in the same field.
And how much of an inspiration that extraordinary Mars probe, there was the team of female scientists really driving that. How much of an inspiration was that?
That makes me really proud that all the females are working so hard. They are in a very great path. So yeah, looking at them, I always talk to myself, yes, I have to be one of them soon. I have to work on my
Tell me, we're here with your great aunt and your mother. Tell me about the choices they had in their generation.
Well, talking about my grandmother's era, there were no choices at all. You know, talking to men was prohibited, and you know, you were considered as a bad girl if you would stand in the balcony or just, you know, talk randomly to people.
Or even went out of the house.
Even went out of the house, right.
And how much has changed?
In my mother's era, the very next generation, it was pretty much free. People were pretty much educated. So in her time, yeah, the choices were pretty much open, but not to that extent what we are having right now.
But you were saying to me earlier that among your colleagues, a lot of them, once they finish their studies, immediately their family are saying, when are you going to settle down?
Yeah, that's there. Even though the era has changed, there is some mentalities which don't change. So yes, even now after my friends, like when they get 26 or 28, they just say, ki, no, come on, you have to get married right now. You know, you're getting aged, no one will like you further. So yes.
So real pressure that is still there. Tell me about going out, because there were those controversial comments in that documentary recently about women not going out in the evening without a husband or a family member. Is it still like that?
Yeah, it is still there, which is very much wrong, I guess. But yeah, that happens a lot even right now.
And all the stories about rape and sexual violence, is that something you're aware of?
Yes, I'm pretty much aware of that. Of course, all credit goes to my parents. They actually educate me about that.
So it's something you talk about quite openly, is it?
Yes.
Within the family?
Yes. At first it was very awkward taking out words like rape and sexual assaultment. But then as it became the need of the hour, they had to talk to me about it, because I step every day out of my house. And it was very important for me to know what's going on. So how to tackle those. So they educated me about it.
Well, listen, I know I was talking to your mother earlier. She sees you as independent. She sees you as getting a great education. She's proud of you. Thank you for talking to us today, and enjoy the rest of the festival. Thank you so much. That was absolutely fascinating. Tanvi's mother had wanted to be a pilot, couldn't be, and is now supporting her daughter in her attempts to be an astronaut. Coming up later here on Global, we'll talk to the fashion designer Manish Malhotra here on the programme, and also the madness of this. The traffic in Mumbai is crazy. So here's a question. How do you even learn to drive in this city? I've been taking a driving lesson. Find out how I get on later in Global.